maxim or a mantra that comes to be often is all is self, or I say everything is everything. And that's kind of a slang statement, but it really does hold true. Yeah. And so I do feel like as we maintain that awareness that everything is everything, all is self, there's no need to run from ourselves. Everything is showing us a part of us that needs to be recognized or acknowledged. So whatever's in our space is there for a reason. And we can learn and grow with that and through that.
Wow. I have a question about that.
For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, right here, I have a spiritualist, I have a coach, I have a conscious savant, I have a mind, I have the level of awareness that this man has and the level of articulation that he has within himself is something that I admire. His qualities of perseverance, his qualities of just being able to discern the nuances of energy and the nuances of consciousness, not only within self, but externally, and then also the systems that are inherent behind these levels of the thing is the level of respect that I have for this man, and the level of respect that I have for his mind, the level of respect that I have for his heart and his spirit, the level of respect that I have for his sovereignty is unbound. Ladies and gentlemen, the sovereign sage, DeAndre Sage.
Humble. Thank you for having me. I'm excellent, man. The presence is appreciated.
Welcome, bro. Welcome, yes. Man. So about that first quote that you said, bro, I love that you're like, okay, is it also from a reflective state as well? Like when you say everything is everything, do you also mean that your inner self is reflected within your outer self? Or do you mean that everything is everything in terms of, like, what is the different facets do you mean? Like in terms of that, everything is everything.
It's both. So it goes, like you said, the first is the reflective, like, there are no coincidences. Everything's interconnected deeply. It's a divine intelligence that moves the pieces. And like, so the fact that I'm in your presence, the fact that how we connected. Now we're here means that when we first met, we saw a lightness in each other that allowed us to attract and to build together in that way. And so even like our conversations that we've had already thus far, I'm seeing something of myself in you, and I'm seeing why I'm in your space and why you're in my space, and how we can build together moving forward. It's like, oh, this is divinely ordained.
Exactly.
And same, and anything in our experiences, like what is that showing me? Yes. And do I have the eyes to see it and perceive it, or am I going to reject it or push it away through judgment, fear, or just non-interest?
The thing is like I see a lot of people who see things that are synchronistic and harmonious in reality, and they think it's a coincidence. Mm-hmm. And I always say it's not a coincidence; it's a coincidence. Okay. It was something that you were supposed to see, because when you see it as a coincidence, you give away your power. That's why the etymology was set up that way. That's why the word was set up that way. So you see it as a coincidence, you see it as something random, as a random occurrence. Mm-hmm. It's not a random occurrence. It's something that was supposed to happen in reality, something that was reflecting to you back yourself so that you can gain deeper levels and understanding of yourself and capitalize off that, even if it was something negative. You know what I mean? Like, we have these things where we want to kind of this feeling within ourselves where we want to dispel the evil or negative within our reality, not knowing that's a puzzle piece that we actually have to overcome so that we can move deeper into the understanding of whatever that we're doing.
Exactly.
When you say everything is everything, I love that, because it's even the small things that you do. Those are even indicative of the big things that you do. For example, let's say, okay, you don't clean your room, right? Your room is dirty. You have clothes everywhere. What is that saying about your mind? What is that saying about your level of organization? You have dishes in the sink. What is that saying about the organization, not even in your own space, your own organization in your own company? Yeah. How you treat your own space, your personal space, is indicative of how you treat the personal space of other people. It's indicative of other areas of your life. Okay, they say people was like, there's no connection between my room being dirty and my finances being fucked up right now. Really? You think so? Everything is everything. So how you do anything is how you do everything. You know what I mean? And I just learned that recently, and appreciation for that.
I've learned that the hard way so many times. And that's something that still shows. So like, even this the detail is like, there are certain birthrights or certain things that I've been, called to do in this lifetime that I can't do yet because I haven't learned the attention to detail of the things that I need. Like, for example, like even like cleaning up certain spaces in my life.
Yes.
And like you said, if I had a business where if I didn't clean up this room, that could affect, my next deal. Or that could affect the lives of people who come for service. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, handle your space, or if you can't handle service of those 10,000 people.
How you gonna help somebody else handle their space if you're not handling your space? Exactly. And it's something simple. All we're talking about is cleaning your room, but it's very indicative of your mind. I realize that the space that you live in and that what you control is your mind, because if you're not controlling what you can control, the things that you're being very reactive. You're not being proactive. So it's learning, okay, I need to be proactive. I need to be on the offensive at all times in my reality.
That's definitely a masculine. But women do it naturally too. That's the thing. So it's not even this masculine.
But women do have. I mean, they have the masculine energy within them. So it is still that masculine energy. You know what I mean? But in the way they hone into it is so spontaneous. You know what I mean? It's really. Men that give that order and that organization to it, but I love how women direct themselves as well and direct their own energies, and they have this very intuitive understanding of what needs to be done. Yeah, you don't need to tell a woman what to do. She naturally knows it within herself. It's only you. It's funny. The thing is, you don't need to tell a woman anything. You just need to be that, and she's watching you. She's watching your example. You need to say, you can say less. You know how a woman can see you and she can read you in the first 2-3 seconds before you even open your mouth. You go and approach her, you're about to say something, and she already scans you from your shoes up to your haircut. She already knows what's going on with you. You know what I mean? Then you open your mouth and you exude yourself, and she gains this new understanding, but she had already made this judgment about your energy, your body language, how you were positioning yourself, your head positioning, how much eye contact you were giving her. And she's like, she already knows. She's watching how you conduct your business over, let's say, social media. She's seeing, okay, what you post. She's seeing the frequency of what you post. She's seeing, okay, do you have a website yet? Okay, if you have a website, do you have a link tree set up? And when your link tree is set up, do you have your YouTube? Do you have your blog? She's watching all this Inika just and saying, and then you see it and how women conduct themselves, and I'm so proud of them. How, okay, right now, discount code for flat tummy tea, and for go to my website for this, and I have these workout training programs for you, and I love how they conduct themselves on an entrepreneurial business level at this time. Amen. I want to ask you, what is the spiritual revolution?
Ooh, wait, what is it?
What is the spiritual? Because we're within a spiritual revolution right now. But for those who do not have an understanding of what a spiritual revolution is, or what the spiritual revolution is, can you just give a context of what is going on right now in terms of that? Just to go into a whole new direction, which will come back into the feminine principle. You know what I mean? Yes, sure. Yes.
So the spiritual revolution. No. Right. So I mean, the word itself, right?
Yes.
I always see it like re-evolve.
Yes.
It's a big part of it. And then I see love in it, LOVE, but backwards.
Yes.
So like and then like
evolve.
Evolve. So it's like evolve, and then love is always a big part of it when I think of the word revolution.
Yes. Evolution is within that, yes.
Exactly. So at this time, I feel like it's going into the feminine principle that's a part of it. But more so, I think at this stage, it's coming back into order. Reestablishing order within ourselves, and then so that we can bring order back into the world. Yeah, that's what it's been coming back to. I feel like there's been a lot of confusion as to who we are, why we're here, what we're doing, where we come from, what is the purpose of this experience?
Yes,
and we get caught in the distractions of the human nature and what has been presented to us to distract us. And so the spiritual revolution is really coming back to our own power and to our own truth as beings in this plane. What are we doing here? It's not just to get the bag. That's helpful currency is a part of this energy thing, right? For sure, it's necessary to do things, but it's a lot deeper than that. And so the spiritual revolution is like reclaiming our power, reclaiming our truth as beings, as sovereign beings, as spiritual beings, coming into collaboration and communion with one another in that sovereignty. That's how I see it.
So in this, what is the masculine's role in that spiritual revolution and the masculine energy? What is the role within that?
So I mean, I like that question. Thank you for that one. It brings about the establishment and the protection and the assurance that it will be done. See, I see the masculine as a will and the feminine as a power, willpower, right? And so with the masculine being the will, it's like, okay, what is the vision that we are bringing into space?
Yes.
What is the guidance, the ordinance, the divine will that is needed to manifest into this earthly plane? And then the woman will then be the physical, will be the manifestation force and power to make it happen. And so then after the woman brings it in, now the man must protect it and make sure that it has what it needs.
So he's the barrier. He's the resoluteness within the system.
The resolute. And the woman might be more abstract, more of the infinite glue of it all, in a sense.
Yes, I understand that. I definitely understand that. And so the spiritual revolution is coming to our power as spiritual beings, as energetic beings. Yeah. And then the masculine's role within that is being the resoluteness within that system and sustaining that system. Because he's the sustaining, the maintaining, but then the feminine is the thriving of the system that it was created in the resoluteness of the masculine.
Exactly. Wow. It's like, for example, I think that women create heaven on earth just through their own nature. So that's how they like. If you have a home, a woman can make that home heaven, but a man will build a home, and a man will this is the art. This is how it's built. This is the design. This is how it was in the wind.
The structure.
Exactly. Here's a gate. Here's a camera just in case you need anything. Here's a gun right here just in case. But the woman's gonna make that thing heaven. And it's going to, bring the flowers and bring in the nourishment, you know what I mean, and birth the child into the home to raise. And so I think that balance is also shown in the more global scale as well.
How do you realize your role within the spiritual revolution?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's powerful. I think we have to be still long enough to receive it. I know with myself, whenever I try to exert my own personal will too much, I would find myself wandering a lot more than I needed to, which is good to learn certain things.
Yes,
of course. So there's a space for that. But when it comes to actually actualizing and stepping into the embodiment of our role, we have to surrender into that. I believe.
So it's like a form of submission to what you are naturally.
Exactly, what you are naturally, and then through that internal voice, and that also a higher voice, which is also still self in a sense. We are guided to it intuitively and synchronistically. There isn't a force that needs to be done. It more so is revealed to us as we surrender and still ourselves.
Within your own journey, when you came into what you needed to do within your own role in spiritual revolution, did it come because you were collaborating with others? Or did it come because for example, I can see you going within yourself, trying to find the skills and attributes that you need to be successful, but then you didn't learn it until you had a reflection back to you. So what happened? What was the catalyst? Like, what was the catalyst? What was the straw that broke the camel's back into you seeing, this is what I need to do. This is my role in spiritual revolution. This is how I need to articulate myself. This is how I need to exude myself. When did that happen?
Man, it's been daily.
Daily.
It never stopped.
Daily, I can
it's still happening. Even this conversation is bringing me more into that awareness.
Yes.
Reflections, that's well said, honestly. It's an opening statement of all this self, and everything is here to show us a part of what we are and what we are doing. And I feel like after we work through a lot of the traumas, a lot of the karmic cycles that we find ourselves in, then we can receive the gifts of our role. And then those show up in more lighter ways, I would say.
Has it been a battle of ego for you?
That's been a big part of it. I would say egos and lack of it's irony. I have a strong internal ego.
Yes.
But my external representation has a lot of self-doubt simultaneously. So I know my power. Yes. My ego can hold on to that. But then when it comes to being in the world, I can find myself doubting too much simultaneously. Okay. So having reflections that show us our karma and our dharma. So I've had reflections that show me, okay, bro, your ego is not where it needs to be. Humble yourself. Mm-hmm. And then I have people show me you need to express yourself.
You need to be more. Yes.
You told me my first.
Oh yes.
You're one of those people who show me like my to come out more. Where other times it was like you need to humble yourself more. But it's bound to both. It's two.
It's the polarity. It's the polar energies of like, you know what, I need to see you be more. The thing is, what happened for me is I was at such a high state of confidence that what I did was I went to the extreme and I tried to be humble. But the humble, almost to other people externally, it seemed as if I was putting myself down. But I'm like, no. My thing was like, no, I'm just so confident that if I show you the extremity of my confidence, you think that it's me being extremely egoic. So what I did was I had to bring extreme humility to it. And now it seems like I'm being self-deprecating. But no, I'm good. I love myself. I think I'm this and that and this and that. I can do this and that. But just like, no, I had to bring myself to the level of balance. You're always trying to achieve this certain level of balance within your life. And yes, what you want to say?
And just answer that real quick. Within that, I feel like if we just act when we're called or when we move, there's no resistance. But when we try and force something, if we try and force the humility or we try and force the confidence, that's where we get that resistance. And then like, I feel called to do this right now. Or part of me really wants to do that, then do it. And if you don't, then now you have to deal with that with yourself. Or say, I don't want to do that right now. And you do it anyways. Now you have to deal with the consequences of that again. So I think if we stay in that space of just, that compass within ourselves, then we're always going to be good.
So it's like, all right, do you have any certain doubt of amount of fear? Like when you, like how do you handle fear when you're acting spontaneously? Like there are moments where you're acting in that now, because some people, they have that feeling, they know they need to act within that now, but they don't act because there's a certain level of, as you said, doubt and fear within a moment. For example, like when I told you, if in that moment, how did you get past that? Okay, wow, he just showed me something. He just challenged me to be more confident in myself. What was that point where you're like, I need to get past that doubt?
For me, like in that moment, I'm not sure if it was doubt or lethargy. I think I was just chilling so much that I forget that I can do certain things. And so like you reminded me. Yes. So it's like, oh, I can't do that. Let me just do that to remind myself that I can do this so that I don't forget again. It was that kind of situation. And then, but the doubt is much more dangerous, I feel, because the doubt is like a sabotaging mentality that keeps us stuck in mediocrity. But like having like a reflection that remind us of different aspects of our potential and our powers is so beautiful to have, because everyone has a unique essence and way of being. Yeah. I often choose a whole space in the environment. Like, okay, I'm going to ground this space. I'm going to make sure everything is balanced. I'm going to make sure the energies are harmonized in the space. So I'm just being very open and observing everybody around me and everything that's coming towards me. Yes. But then there are times too where it's like, no, there needs to be a push of energy. There needs to be a movement. There needs to be a spark of fire. Yes. And then people do that very naturally as well. But we all have access to all parts of that. We can do each role if we choose to. And that's just good to have that reminder. So
what I like about you is that you are very intentional about being that spark of fire. You know what I mean? Within yourself. Like, there are moments where you're like, what you may see in me is what other people see in you. In terms of when you articulate yourself, how people are like, yo, I need to get on my job. I need to get within my role. I need to express myself because I know he's a human like me. He feels doubt and feel like I do, anxiety like I do, and he's still expressing himself in that space. Then why am I not challenging myself? Why am I not? For me, it's being that point of inspiration, that point of example. If he can express himself in that way, then I can express myself that way as well, and be a spark for somebody else who's in my circle of influence, who's also watching me. Because what I've learned is that you're always being watched. No matter, you're always someone you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, who's a friend of a friend of a friend may not even be experiencing you directly, but experiencing you indirectly between the person that's expressing. For example, you express to them an idea to somebody. They take that idea and now they're expressing that idea to someone else. So you're affecting them indirectly through your energy and through you just being that spark of inspiration,
Yeah. So going back to the fear statement you brought up earlier. Yes. And I remember how you said to Javi, you and Javi were talking. And Javi was like, you said like, you never know who needs to receive what you have. And so be excellent, because you might give somebody something that they need in that moment through that expression of self. And that's so powerful. And I think when that fear comes in and tries to constrict our greatness, to constrict us and keep us limited in our power, I think that's one of the greatest crossroads we have in our lives. Because I know whenever I broke through that fear barrier, the other side was so beautiful. I'm like, this is here the whole time. And I didn't allow myself to be free. And so the fear barrier, I feel like if anyone's experiencing that right now, to where like you want to, like, it could be, for me, it started with dating. Where like, that's how dating actually sparked my consciousness in a very powerful way in college. Where like I was afraid to approach women that were of a certain level in my mind.
Yes.
I put them on the pedestal.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I was like, oh, now I'm getting nervous. I'm like, what am I going to say to this person?
Yes.
But whenever I was natural, it was effortless. I would say the right
thing.
Like,
you just talk to them like a person. Like, there was no, and even if you were awkward or made mistakes, they thought it was funny. Because what's funny, I've had this situation as well in terms of dating. When I just speak to a woman, even if I'm making mistakes or say anything like that, she thinks it's cute that I even came up and approached her and just tried to articulate myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had a situation the other day where a woman told me, she was like, I thought it was cute when you first approached me and I said something about the train or something like that, how to catch a train to a certain place. And she said, I was like, I knew what I was saying to you was wrong. I just wanted to make you smile. And she was like, wow. and for me, so it just getting to that place naturally of getting on the other side of fear.
Just doing it.
Like there's always a reward on the other side of fear. There's when you break through that barrier. So I love how you say there's a crossroads. Once you get to that crossroads, think about what's on the other side. So I think what happens is you get to the crossroads and you think about the crossroad itself. You're not thinking about the feeling on the other side of that crossroads. So I think about, you know what, if I did this, how good would it feel? For example, someone is about to go for a workout, right? I'm about to go run. Instead of thinking about the feeling on the other sid of the workout, of the other side of feeling accomplished, you're breathing and your heart feels good, your heart is pumping and you feel like you're like, yo, I did it. You're thinking about
20 more minutes.
20 more minutes. Like you're thinking about, oh man, I have to get up and then I have to put on my shoes and then get dressed for it. And then when I come back, I have to take a shower after it. And no, we think about the feeling of being on the other side of that accomplishment. Do not think about I'd say for me, that's what makes the process easier for me is because I think about the level of accomplishment I'm going to feel on the other side.
Yes.
You know? And so for you, what have you got? Okay. Let me think about this question. You've gotten to the space where you realize your role within the spiritual revolution. Where are you at with it now? Like where are you at with it now within yourself?
Ooh, like that. I'm gonna go two ways with this, internal and external.
Yes. So
internally, I would say refinement, discipline, consistency has been the focus this entire year. A deeper maturation of what I've learned and gathered, and deeper remembrance. Don't forget. Because when you forget, go back to old things. No. You've done this already. You don't have to go through that again. Come back to source.
Yes.
That's been very powerful this year.
That's a fact. Like I've had that experience as well, where it's definitely, I feel there's some principles and lessons that I've learned, and I said to myself the other night, there's no reason for me not to act within that knowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we'll know the principle, we'll know the lesson, and then there's a conscious choice of almost questioning ourselves. Like, is this it? But this is what pushed me through. I said the principle is limitless. I'm the limitation. So why am I sitting here trying to challenge a law, trying to challenge this lesson that's going to be here whether or not I'm here? Let me act in accordance with that. You know, so what are some principles that you've learned this year that help you in that maturation?
Oh, man.
It's abundant.
This year has been years.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah, true say.
So that's one part of it. I say timelessness, knowing that timelessness and infinitude of life itself. Like going back to your story to me earlier about how you manifested this space you're in now.
Yes.
Like there are no limits to what you can be done in this space. In the Bible, they talk about moving mountains. And that's a metaphor, I believe, to life of like all things are, the greatest things are ineffable, but truly all things are infinite. And the only limitations are, like you said, are created by ourselves. We create limitations with our language, with our concepts, our beliefs, and so forth. And so moving beyond that and seeing, if you really need something, life will move for you and with you, as you, to you, through you. Exactly. And that showed itself so many times. I can't doubt it either. I mean, at this point, it's like, if I doubted it, I'd be lying to myself, and that's lying to life itself.
Has your language changed? Have you been more intentional about the language?
I've had to be.
You've had to be?
Just because everything is so, it manifests so quickly now.
Yeah.
Things that might take years can happen in hours or days. So it's like, I've seen people curse themselves with the language and curse me because I was in their space. How? What is an example? They'll say, you can't do this, or we ain't gonna make it, or this ain't gonna happen, or I hope this doesn't happen. and they're speaking into existence. And I'm like, stop saying that because I feel it coming. You know what I mean? And then it happens. I'm like, you know what I mean?
You talking to existence, yeah. I think people need to realize that your thoughts, your words, and your actions have an electromagnetic reality. Yes. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's how I put it towards someone, because when they don't think that the words or the thoughts have a reality, I'm saying there's an electromagnetic, not energy. This is not woo-woo and, consciousness and wow, no, there's not no hippie. This is straight science. There's an electromagnetic reality to your thoughts, to your words, that expresses itself into reality and that comes back to you. Because the thing is, what you don't know is, I used to think that karma, right? We say that karma is our thoughts and our actions, our words coming back to us. It's not coming back to you. It stayed with you. It was always with you. Because the thing is, when you express that word or that thought, it got trapped in your electromagnetic field. I said it like that because in my head I said sphere and field, right? It got trapped in that field that surrounds your body, and that's what magnetized that reality towards you. So let's say you did something bad, right? You think that it went out, it's going to come back later on. No, it stayed here. It's still here within the sphere that's surrounding you, and it's attracting that reality to you.
There's so much in this. There's so many pieces.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, one thing that goes into like that attraction, right?
Yes.
Like the idea of Kali, this pure black innocence, or this pure dark innocence, or this the innocent being, an innocent child that can do wrong but not hold the karmic debt because they don't identify with the action itself. And I think, like you said, when we do something and we know it's wrong, then you live with that. You hold that.
You do live with that.
But if you do something like, I didn't even know, oh my bad, I didn't even recognize.
Yes.
You're still light. You're still free of it. That's a big part of it too. But going to, like you say, we're attracting what's in our field.
Yes.
It's everything. Like, I've been noticing this year in particular, like the thoughts are a form or matter. It's energy. So thoughts are like, it's still a 3D type of thing and manifesting in space. And so you may think something, and then that thought form is now going to look for a resonant being that can now fulfill it in your space. And then they'll come into your life and then do something that matches the thought. And I'm like, oh shit, I literally attracted this being. But it's so connected that they think it's their thought.
Yes, because the being, because it is a thought. Because the being was connected to the thought. The thought was connected to the being. So it was like the thought is going out searching for a situation or a being to connect to. And then a being and situation is looking for a thought to connect to as well. You know, so it automatically, it synchronizes within itself. So that's why you have to be very intentional about what you say and what you think. So for me, for example, I don't say I can't. You know, I say I'm learning, or I would like to learn how to. So, for example, someone says, "Can you sing?" I'm learning. I would like to learn how to sing. Because if I say I can't, then I'm closing myself off to that reality. You know, I'm closing myself off to that possibility. You're closing yourself off to any you can be a millionaire, right? No, I can't be a millionaire. I can't get my body right. You know, I can't eat well. Like, I'm learning how to eat well. You know what I mean? I'm learning how to balance myself financially. It's a process. So now you're acknowledging there's a process that you have to go through, as opposed to just shutting yourself off from that possibility. Yes. I love that you say, though, it's like there's this field, there's this level of attraction. What do you attract? Like right now, are you attracting everything you want to right now? Or like, for example, because I know that you have a twin flame or a twin soul in your life. How did you attract that being or that feminine into your life? What were you doing within yourself at that moment where she came into your reality?
Okay, so this goes into the external version of the spiritual revolution.
Yes.
So I'll speak on the twin flame, then I'll speak on what I'm attracting beyond that or within that. 1 second. So the twin flame, I came back and said this. It always comes back to self. This whole conversation always comes back, right? Speaking life, going into that, like I can attract a partner that I feel is worthy of not just having me in their life, but that I can attract a partner that matches what I'm looking for, and I also match what they're looking for.
Yes.
That whole thing,
reciprocity.
Reciprocity. A harmonic union. And so, that was a big part of it, knowing that and not settling. So I haven't had a serious girlfriend or partner in many years until her. I've dated a lot. I've dated a lot between that. But
yes.
my last serious girlfriend was like 21, 20 in college. So I had like 5 years, 5 or 6, of just being with myself and just dating and just seeing what's out there. Yes. Before I said, because I didn't want to compromise. If I knew something didn't feel right or appropriate, I'm like, let me just take a step back. Or that's not it for me. I can't see myself being with this woman for this many years. Yes. So it doesn't make sense. So I can do that.
It's not constructive. It's not constructive.
And I've seen how whenever I do things that aren't true to myself, how it always leads into a karmic situation. I have to learn another hard lesson. And I was tired of learning the same lesson.
Yes.
So I'm like, let me just stay with myself, and obviously I have work to do. Because the woman that I felt coming, the woman that I wanted, I knew I wasn't ready for them yet. So
exactly, but it's being honest with yourself as I'm not ready. Because some guys they get, I say some people get into relationships not acknowledging that they're not ready for the relationship, or not acknowledging that they have nothing constructive to bring.
That part.
And you know what? Let me build within myself. Let me build my own kingdom. I think as men, you need to build your own kingdom, your own domain, and own world for her to even come to. Like, so you don't even have a reality for her to come to. Where is she even going with you? What direction is she? You don't even know the direction within yourself that you're taking it. Why would she? You can't lead somebody if you're not. Where's she gonna follow? Where's she gonna follow? It's not following subserviently. It's following in terms of partnership. In terms of we both have something going on. So I think as a man as well, there also has to be a level of I'm not settling with somebody who cannot bring something constructively to my mission as well.
Absolutely.
You know, and what, to continue the question, what were you do at that time she came? What were you doing within yourself? Like what routines, what affirmations during that state of being?
One thing that definitely had to happen was I had to heal through a lot of the distortions, like sexual distortion, especially toxicity, pornography, excessive spilling of the sea, masturbation.
Yeah,
had to definitely go out, because that was definitely cutting me off from not only my own power, but from attracting someone in a healthy relationship.
Yes,
that was the biggest thing for me.
Okay.
Aside from that, I would say like self-love practice in a way of like really like not just saying I love myself. I did mirror work, in the mirror, like affirmations, but things that were like seeing myself as if I were her.
Yes, I love I get what you're saying. Seeing her, we'll go back to reflections. I'm saying I love myself, but not seeing her separate from you. And seeing her is seeing her telling you I love you. Yeah. But saying it within yourself.
But saying it as me. Yeah. And seeing myself, but no, I'm still me. But like seeing with so much love, like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like, oh, like really coming into that energy of feeling it. Like, oh wow, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Coming in and like just sitting with the heart open. Yeah. That was major. Because, I can say I love myself all day. And I can love myself. And I can, but it's different when you really like see yourself as so sacred.
Yes.
And so
you're sacred. Exactly. You have to see yourself, not just only love yourself, you have to see yourself as sacred as my time, my energy, my attention is sacred. You know what I mean? That's the place you have to come to in yourself, because when you naturally come into a feminine, she feels that way about herself as well, because if I don't see myself as sacred, how can I even show her that respect about her own sacred femininity as well? Because she's sharing something with you. She's sharing an energy with you. She's sharing an openness and an expression with you it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Like, and I'm the point, where's she at, your queen, where's she at within herself as well? She also in a state of enlightenment and awareness within herself.
She had to be. Because that's the only way she would have got here, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Like she pushes me, she challenges me in that space, because she's on it, you know what I mean? She impresses me with her depth and her intelligence, her heart. And so this is how I had to prepare for her. Like I said, if I wasn't ready for her, I would have got exposed so quick. She would call my shit up immediately. Yes. So I had to make sure that I am I good within myself, because if I come into her space, she will see through all of it.
Really, like reality, when I'm by myself, it's just the real me. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, am I really doing the work? And when I realized the internal work is really the internal work. Yeah. Like it really is work. Like it's not saying internal work, and because when you say internal work, people are like, oh, it's internal, so it's just very abstract, very woo-sized. No, it's the affirmations, it's the visualization, it's the breaking past the traumas, it's the getting past these things like, okay, the pornography and dispelling your seed, because when you realize that, wait a second, my seed is used for creation. So it's like, that is literally the creative energy that I'm dispelling, that sacred energy that I'm expelling. That's energy that is used to create an entire universe in itself. So I am expelling trillions of universes. Of course that would lower my vibration. Of course that would lower my electromagnetic field, and I wouldn't be able to attract what I want to manifest, because I am expelling all this energy. And even for me, it has to get to a point of, what do you want from her? Right? What do you want? What do you want? Yeah. You know, like, and a lot of people, I don't feel like a lot of people don't know what they want. So if you don't know what you want, how can you get to a point of knowing what you are?
Wow. Oh, let me sit with that one for a second.
Yes.
You know what you want, and how can you know who you are? That's powerful. And vice versa.
It's vice versa. It is vice versa. It's a vice versa relationship.
That's powerful.
Because, okay, if I know who I am, then I know what I want. Then I know what my ideas of success is. I know what my idea of happiness is. I know what my idea of partnership is. It's like it's an honesty. It's like a submission.
It goes back to this is so tricky. It's all connected. It goes back to the conversation about the thought forms and like speaking life into existence. It's like, if you know what you want, then life knows what you want, and it'll show up. So the person that matches that will get the message. Oh, he's pinging.
If I know what I want, then life knows what I want, because I am life.
Exactly. All this stuff. Thank you. It just shows up. Like.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing, because it really is, because it's like, what is the life that we know to the life that we're living? No. Like, I don't know any other life. Like, what is that? So it's, when you say life, you don't have to be abstract about it. It's like, and when you say my life, you're just saying my experience, my perception, my ideas. But then I think there should also be a appreciation for other people, because now you're coming into a point of, the only way that I have a reference from my own thoughts or my own ideas is from somebody else. I don't know that I am positive until I see somebody who's negative, who speaks negativity into their lives and in their language. So there's an appreciation also for that negativity of someone else and that polarity of someone else as well. Yes. So going back to the spiritual revolution, what is also there's an oppositional energy that exists within the spiritual revolution. What is that oppositional energy? What are we working with?
Thank you for bringing that. That's excellent. I love how things coming back into this flow. Yes. Flow. The oppositional energy, I would say the first thing is the mind. But not the mind itself. The mind is by itself is pure until it's programmed.
Yes.
So the programs that we're running in the mind, would that be the language itself, the thing that we've been taught, what we're watching, all that type of stuff, I think is creating this this confusion within the mental space.
Okay.
Going back and see, I'm saying life, Kemet knowledge and wisdom. Set versus Haru. Okay. Haru being the will of the king, the being that is on the earthly plane to ground the heavens and the earth, and to create the dominion, harmony on earth. But then Set being the going against the will of God, and that being within, and we have the battle set within our own mind. That voice that says, this is what I should do. Don't do that.
What's powerful about Set though is Set is still powerful, because he is people who react in the reality of negativity, in the opposition of light, still manifest their reality, because they're still using a foundation of power, because darkness is still power, because it's still that polarity. So it's like, I have a certain level of understanding for somebody who lives in that place of darkness, in that place of Set, because you are still manifesting the reality you quote unquote want, because you're still using a valid source of power.
That's real.
And so it's like, there's no hate for them.
You have to polarize yourself in one direction enough, almost, to gain the power. So if you polarize in the direction of you go negative polarity, there's still power.
Let's say Haru. Yeah. If you're in Heru, then you are still manifesting. But if you're in Set, you're also manifesting. So don't mean to take away from the point. Coming back into the spiritual revolution, what does that mean in terms of that energy?
I see. It's like, this is interesting. There's so many layers to this conversation.
Yes.
Like, which one do I want to choose?
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to ground it a bit. I don't want to get too into teaching. I want to get more into practicality with it. So I'm going to say, as we're experiencing our everyday life, and let's say we're confronted with a series and set of options and choices, right, before us every single day. Yeah. It's like people come into our lives, decisions come, opportunities come where we get to choose. Crossroads, I call them. Yes. Left or right or wrong, based upon your own truth and what you know you should be doing. So that's the core of this whole revolution. But then on an external level, we see it happening between, New World Orders. We see the presidents, and we see the conspiracies.
Yeah, a lot of socio-political things.
Exactly.
Yes. And choices being made. Yes.
And choices that seem to be a bit out of our control. Mm-hmm. And so in that sense, it's like that's spiritual warfare being represented through these different people playing roles.
Yes.
And holding on to these entities that are working through them. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it gets a bit more, I would say, the human spiritual revolution on a bigger level is at a peak right now. It's reaching the climax, biblical times, apocalyptic energies of transmutation. The shadow is presenting itself, revealing itself.
Yes.
Because it's always been there, and we've been manipulated by these forces for
we're unseen from the unseen
forces.
Yes.
Exactly.
And people even doubted that it even existed. Now it is. Now it is so, and it's like, okay, there's no point of I told you so. I think now we've come into a space where now, as you said, on a practical level, on a day-to-day level, so from a global awareness external point of view, there is a lot going on socio-politically. I think on a human level, on a day-to-day level, you just need to be aware of your attention.
Yes.
Where's your attention going? Where are your... You need to think about, okay, what are my values? What do I actually value? You need to think about, what is my mission? What is my purpose? What do I value? What am I giving my attention to on a day-to-day level? Am I giving my attention to COVID? Am I giving my attention to Trump? Am I giving my attention to globalization? Am I giving my attention to poverty levels? What am I actually giving my attention to within my day-to-day reality, within my day-to-day space? You know what I'm saying? If we go back to, let's go back to the first thing we began in the beginning of this. You are giving your reality to Trump. You're giving reality to COVID. You're giving reality to all these things happening in reality. Yeah. Is your bed made up? Bro, bitch, bring it back. Bring it back to your space. You got clothes on the floor. Is there dishes in your sink? Bring it back to the sense of organization that you have in your life. What do you value? You need to value organization and order and values within your own personal day-to-day space. You think that the minutia of day-to-day is not important. It is important because it has this cumulative momentum nature.
It starts here, then it ripples outward from you. So now your room, your house is in order. Now your community can get in order through your expression.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like me. It's like me. Okay. Boom. My family. Okay. Bam. From my family to my community. Okay. From my community to local. From my local to my state. From my state to my federal. To the federal to the national. That system, it just keeps it perpetuates itself, but it does start with the individual. Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people have to realize is that society is a group of individuals. So when you blame society, you have to realize that you're blaming yourself. Yeah. You know how you say the system is keeping me down, and it's because society that I think this way, that it's like, you have to realize that society, the system is just a group of individuals just like you. So you being an individual, you have to start off with that, as you said, indivisible duality. Mm. You said that. I got that from you. You said that. You said yes. I got that from you. Oh, wow. You said from one of your videos. You said an individual. Yes, an individual is an indivisible duality, and I was like, wow, that was very profound to me as well. A dual. Yes, an individual is an indivisible duality. So within that duality, there has to be acknowledgement of that polarity, the acknowledgement of that positive and that negative.
What is it showing us? What is it teaching us as a species? because we're definitely evolving as a human species through all of this. Like you said, we start with ourselves in our space, in our environment, in the micro, because that is truly what is in our,
life.
That's what we have control with and over.
Yes.
But then but as a human collective and as an earth, we're also evolving. And what is that teaching us to be aware of and pay attention to? Do not let those who have poor integrity and intention gain false authority. No more. This has to stop. That's all that's happening. False people who have not made their bed, people who have not cared for their family or their community, are running the country or running the world. Yes. And so we're wondering why it's not in order, because they're not in order.
They're not in order. They're not in order on a mental state and what they value. In one of the videos that you posted, you talked about how there needs to be a community where we value integrity as currency. Instead of money being currency, let integrity be the currency. Let collaboration be the currency as opposed to fiat being the actual currency. Because when you understand that currency is current because it has an electricity to it, there's a certain level of electricity to currency, to an exchange. So when people say, then this is some language that I've had to learn to get out of my belief system, because this is a language that people have to get out of the belief system, a phrase. Money is the root of all evil. Ooh. No. Yeah. Get that out of your belief system. Get out your mind. Get out your language. Money is not the root of all evil. Money is a system of exchange. Money is a medium of circulation. That's like electricity. Electricity can either warm your house, and it can give you light, and it can do amazing things, and it can cook your food, but it can also kill you. So let's say electricity killed you. Is the electricity evil? You're gonna say electricity is the root of all evil? No, it's just it's a conduit. It's something that we use. So money as well. Money is not the root of all evil. The people who use it for the intentions that they do, that is the evil in itself. So you're putting your power into these things.
It really is magic. Necromancy, in a sense. It's like you have an intention, and I power it with this current. Yes. Right? Or this power. And the attention is like, this is where we have to come back into. It's like balancing our will and our attention to align with the collective whole and not our individual desires. Like, if my individual desire comes at the expense of the collective, then I'm no longer, like, go back to the cancer. I'm a rogue agent in this earth, in this space. And we have a bunch of rogue agents with a lot of money creating things that are disharmonious.
And they're capitalizing off of individualistic desires instead of realizing that they cannot live without the whole. They cannot live without people. That is what the nature of living is. The nature of living, I've realized that the greatest times I've had in my life has always been with somebody else. It's always been like when I think about, like when I really think about a time, I be like, yo, I enjoy that memory. When you think about a memory where it's just like, yo, I really enjoy that time, it's always been with somebody else where it's like, yo, I really enjoyed that experience, that co-created experience with someone else. But it does take a level of responsibility to realize, to not capitalize off your individual desires when you can, and look at the collective. It takes a certain understanding. It takes a certain mindset.
So we have to mature as a species, as a whole, as a collective. I've often seen this as a child's playground that we're living in, like a child's dream manifested has come true. Yes. And the mother is not present. The mother has been silenced. The woman has been silenced. So there's no guidance, because the feminine principle is no longer allowed to speak.
The feminine principle is no longer allowed to speak. So we're all seeing ourselves as we are children who have grown up within this system, within this programming, but we did not have a quote-unquote mother principle, a cosmic or spiritual mother principle that was in play at the time to show us the right way.
Well, it's in play for sure. Let me be clear with my words on that one, because going back to the spiritual revolution, what's coming in that sense, going back into like the feminine empowerment and the feminine, even the earth itself beginning to rise back up into its role as a true authority in this plane. And because of the whole patriarchy type of society has been against the woman, and you see it in most societies that are prevalent at this stage. It's always said there's no woman in the priesthood, there are no women in the politics, there are no women allowed to you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Yes. And so it's just keeping us as children because of that. Because
I know what you're saying. There's no sense of maturation. There's no sense of maturity in terms of acknowledging the power of that, acknowledging the power of where you came from. It's like we're not acknowledging the power of creation. You know what I mean? Like, and so we get to a point where it's like, okay, now I feel like the feminine principle has gotten to the point where it's like on the extreme, and there's almost a diminishing of the masculine principle. So in terms of toxic masculinity and what that is, there's no acknowledging that there's no ritual for a man to become a man. Yeah. It's just you're a boy, a teenager, man, but there was no guidance into the realm of what that was. Mm-hmm. So I believe that right now we have males, males, we have males, but we don't have men. And there needs to be an understanding of, I think to get to an understanding of what you are as a man, you need to understand what masculine energy is and the role of masculine energy. Just like you said, the role of masculine energy being order, organization, decision, and realizing, so integrity. What integrity, truth, justice. Keep it going. What is another a quality of masculine energy that we need to exude for other young men who are watching us?
I think the biggest one is order. That keeps coming back. It keeps coming back over and over. Keep thinking about, things have to be in order. And when you have a piece that, like, if you have, let's say, let me think, what's a good example of this?
You have a morning routine?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, for sure. So order. I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is go on Instagram, which I had to get away from because that was definitely a trap. Yeah. For a minute. Definitely subconscious trap. Yeah. Like, so order. So like for me, what I do is first thing I wake up, I dwell over my dreams. This has been more recent, especially. What did I dream about? Can I recall this? Can I ground into it? What did I learn in those experiences? Why did I have those dreams? And then sit until I can go through as deep as I can to that. But so the first order was to reclaim what was just given to me. Yeah. To own that and to accept what was just experienced. Yeah. Okay, now what are my intentions for gratitude? I'm alive. I'm here. I'm present. Yes. Okay, breathe.
Some people didn't wake up this morning. Some people woke up and their legs didn't work, and so that's. And we're gonna continue, but and going back for me and going on Instagram as soon as you wake up, I said, "Damn, my legs could not work right now," and I wouldn't know because I didn't even take inventory of my entire being before I jumped on my phone. And some people who woke up, they could not even step out of bed. And I don't know if everything can I just wake up and my hands, legs, everything's here, everything's working order. Okay, boom. Then we can jump on the phone. And so it was like, damn, I need to really appreciate my being aliveness, my vitality, my being able to just be cognizant of myself, So to continue, so you wake up and you are cognizant of yourself and you give appreciation for just being able to wake up.
And that brings me present, and I think through presence breeds gratitude naturally, right? And so that's something I always try to maintain every rising. And then the next thing I will go into, I take my time. I feel my body. I really feel the body. If I feel stuck, and just kind of do a little bed stretch, bed yoga kind of situation. Because I'm a slow riser, so I take my time with that. Yeah. And then from there, I'll either journal if I feel inspired to journal, right? Or I'll just go and just do some yoga or stretching and just shaking qigong if the day feels appropriate. Yes. Depending on the vibrations. Exactly. Yes. Like really attuned to what do I need right now. Yes. And then addressing that first. And then I might go into like messages later, but I do try and do some movement and some writing before I go into my phone.
See, because I like that. That's the order. That's order. That's order. That is waking up and having a set routine when you wake up. Waking up and, like for me, I wake up and I do my push-ups, I do my sit-ups, I put on my binaural beats, I begin my meditations, I begin my writing, my journaling, and it may not be just being aware of myself. I feel like every man needs to have a morning routine because that is on a day-to-day level of having that order, of having an organization, having that system in place. How can we want to change this entire system of civilization if we do not have day-to-day systems within our lives? I think what's also important is that we are not trying, I don't think we should try to dismantle the system because the system works.
It's masterful.
It's masterful. It has been working. If people live within it, if people do experience it within it, And this system did come from us. We've lost control of it. We lost control of it, and another being, another energy set took advantage of our maybe momentary confusion, or we had got so confident within our energy and it got to a point of egoicness.
Pride comes before the fall, they say.
So I think I said that to say, I don't think that this 400 years that we've experienced of detrimental that's been detrimental for the melanated being. I believe that it was quote unquote a karma. How we were so powerful that we manifested so much greatness that we started dwelling into an egoic part of ourselves, and that there needs to be a reset of our energies so that we could come out on the other side. Reset. Stop it. There needs to be a reset so that we could come out on the other side and retune back into that greatness. Yeah. But when this 400 years was a necessary, in terms from a cosmic view, there needed to be something that happened that put us back into recalibrating ourselves and recalibrating our energies so that we could, because we're not prepared yet. We're not prepared to create a whole new system. If this whole system it just shut down right now, because we're talking about system of behaviors, we're talking about system of currency, system of education. Do we have the right education system set up? Can I teach? Do we have education systems where we teach about solar power, where we teach about the power of the melanin, and we teach about what is your role entrepreneur wise and business wise? We're still trying to get to a certain point economically and financially, and stop giving away our power financially to a certain system and not giving it back to ourselves. Why is buying black so difficult? You feel what I'm saying? Why is that black dollar only circulated for a couple hours, and we're giving our black dollar away to do the Arab deli man. He's not spending it back in our community. He's going back to his community. He's spending it with his family. You know what I mean? And not to say not talking about negative about the Arab man, the Jewish man, or the Asian man within our communities, but we are not circulating the money within our community. Mm-hmm. So we can't even circulate the money within our community past a few hours, and we want to create an entire system just based off of us. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do.
Can we even coexist together for a period of time without, coming at each other's necks? This is the basics, back to the basics.
I think what that is also the ego, because it's like, I think just on a funny a level, it's just like, yo, I'm so fly, like I know you're fly too, and that makes me not like you. Like that's on the egoic level. I think that's on the egoic like level, like deep level. There also is layers on top of that, like Willie Lynch and or to that level. But I think that it's so polar. There's so many layers, but there's so many layers. But I think it's a point of, I know the God within me, and seeing the God within you, I'm disappointed within myself that the system has got you to that level, and so does me trying to attack the system by attacking your being.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to attack a system that you are in. So I have to attack you. But I love you. The love is
I can't hit the system. I can't
hit the system. Yeah, I can't hit the system, but your divinity is what keeps the system going. So and it's my divinity as well. And I'm not gonna I have to attack it. Like but I'm not I'm attacking, because it's also you are able to experience the system in such a way that I see you're sustaining the system. I even feel intuitively that you created it. That's also a reason why I'm attacking you. You created this, and you are creating this. Why are you creating this? Why are we creating this? What is going on? And then this state of like confusion as well within it, and then because you also see it's like, damn, they're even controlling our how we think about masculinity and femininity. why am I looking at this female this woman this way? Why am I saying female when I think about a woman? I think that's wrong.
And
when I say like
said right now.
Exactly, true say. But even when I call a woman a female, in my mind, I'm like, where does that even come from? And me saying that, realizing that is an indoctrination and a programming as well. And so we get to this point where it's like we realize when we grew up, what did they say to us, to men? They said, "Yo, smash as many women as possible." You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, fulfill your lustful desires. That's what it's about. And then what they tell the woman, you know, you'll grow up, find a man that loves you and cherishes you. You know, you get married. So we both grew up with this whole separate point of thinking about what our lives should be and what we should be doing. Then we try to come together as adults, and we're
trauma.
They get trauma and also all types of inharmony and disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like there is a point where you just have to. What are your values again? What are you doing? What's your mission? What's your purpose?
Reestablishing foundation within ourselves so that we can stand truly and then walk the path without constantly having to go back to the beginning and start again. Foundation, man. Thank you for that. Values. Because, like you said, we have a lot to do as a melanated, a melanated community. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of groundwork coming back to who are we? What do we really stand for?
Yes.
Not what Kanye is telling us to stand for.
Yes,
He's cool in his own way.
Yes.
But like, what do I as a man, as an individual, feel within my heart is to be true, and can I live by that?
Yes.
And if we can start with that step, then we can consider, okay, now education, now community center.
Yes.
Now
so
now
coming to that knowledge of self, and I think there's for you, right? Was there a point where, all right, so you're delving into in your journey, right? Because for me, my awakening came first. It was a Black consciousness awakening, learning about the Moors, that knowledge of self, and then became the spiritual awakening in terms of realizing realizing this interconnectedness to all energies. Were you, let's say, resentful because you weren't taught this Black consciousness? And now it's like, I'm coming into this now? Like, why didn't I not always have knowledge of self? Why didn't I have that guidance into that?
I was resentful in two directions, actually. I was because I was like, why am because we're still pretty young. Mm-hmm. So I'm like in my early 20s when this is happening, and I'm like, there's no one older than me that can teach me this? Like, we're the elders that can really, help in this process. Like, why did no one know? And I get why now, through compassion and understanding of what we're really in, how deep it goes, how far the mind can go down the rabbit hole, and not come out and come,
Jaded.
Yes. Exactly. But I have resent towards the mainstream society, especially, of course, that lied to me throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
Because I was in school as a young kid. I'd be like, wow, I have 10 more years of school. I have 15 more years. This is
agonizing.
That's messed up. And not learning really much or anything about who I am. Everything's about, this is what happened in 1784. This is what, and I'm like, I don't know this dude. Like, what are we here though? What are we doing?
What really shifted me in social studies, when I came to consciousness and I learned that Blacks had white slaves. And that slaves originates from Slavics, because the Moors were enslaving the Slavics. I was like, why wasn't that taught in schools? Do you know how much that would have changed my understanding if I realized that Blacks had white slaves? Like, that's omitted from the history books.
For sure.
Like, what is? Yes, continue.
I mean, you had that question, and I can tie it in, I'm sure.
My question was, what was the catalyst for your spiritual awakening? Like, what came first, your Black consciousness or your spiritual awakening?
Got you. So it was the Black consciousness that I had in high school, going into college, was what started me. And like I said, hip hop was a major key for that. So I got a lot of codes through hip hop. And so I was big on like Garvey, big on Malcolm X. I was cool on Martin, but I had my disagreements.
Yes.
But I was more radical when it came to Black politics. I would say in particular, I felt like we needed to stand for ourselves and to really begin to get some level of ownership within ourselves and also in the world. But I didn't know how deep it really went. I I didn't know about the 2,000 plus years of this. I didn't really know that level of it yet. And then in college, I went the opposite direction of like, oh, I'm not my identity, I'm not race, I'm not this.
Yes.
And I went
exactly. I stopped believing in stop believing in the race conscious, the race mindset, and more into that spiritual mindset. Yeah. At that point,
because it can be a distraction when it comes to the soul level. Although it's relevant on the 3D and in the physical, it's definitely relevant. But when it comes to soul edification, spiritual evolution, you can't hold on to anything.
So is that the fifth dimensional consciousness?
I would say so, outside of space and time, for sure. And so, I mean, if we really want to be able to liberate ourselves, we have to, like I said, we can't hold on to anything that is, literally.
Yeah, anything, literally, any type of duality.
Because any identity limits the self, the true self, the infinite self.
Yes.
Say, I am black, well, it means that you are nothing else.
That means that, that means you are not I am.
I am. Exactly.
Because I think it goes from, you have to say I am black to I am to I.
Oh, I like that. And then when you're at I, the I can then basically shapeshift into whatever.
To whatever, because here's the thing, when consciousness says consciousness is I, just I. Because you can say I can say I, we're all I. Only you are I am. Only I am. Because it becomes subjective.
Individuated incarnation. So
exactly. It's an individualization of that. So now it's like, all right, but then when did you have to come back into the race?
Exactly. Because at some point it gets ungrounded. Because I'm still here. And I'm like, okay, cool. I feel great. Like I feel I'm light. My hair's I'm at inner peace.
Yes.
I'm at joy. I can go to wherever I want and be by myself. But like I know I'm here for a reason. I'm not just here to be happy. Like I'm like I have a purpose here. And I forget all this other people. The people suffering. Like, and I go back to New York. Like and I'm like, oh shit, I've been in the subway. Like people really going through it right now. I see little kids getting caught up in it now. I'm like, man, they don't have guidance. Like, and so I'm like, who am I to know this, but not offer or extend some level of service or help with that?
Yes.
And I felt very selfish. And then the black identity aspect of it, where like black people, me being black, having black experience, is relevant to who I am in this physical space, and I can assist in that plight.
Mm-hmm.
And because I felt like black people and women especially were of most need of empowerment, because I feel like black people and women empower this earth. Like we are the inheritance of the earth.
Yes.
And so until we come into power, the earth will be continuously in dismay. So this is why the lowest, like the meek shall inherit the earth, the lowest will become the greatest. It's already written. And so until those who have been suppressed the most come back into their power, this whole thing is going to continue to happen.
It's going to continue to deteriorate.
Exactly. So we got to get it back into balance. And then we can all rise together at that stage.
Yes. When we all realize, that we are part of this outer and inner harmony, realizing, I do have a spiritual being. I am a spiritual being, and so I understand that we're all interconnected. But then I have to realize that I am still within my physical vessel on this 3D plane. And so I have a responsibility to others who have not come to this understanding yet. So I have to almost lower your vibration from that higher self into a balanced self, so that I can more be of service to others who are also not at that higher self, because there's a certain level of understanding I have in my higher self that I won't be able to understand somebody on this plane, or they would be able to understand me because of the level of the way I'm speaking. And there had to become a point where I have to be more balanced so I could gain a higher level of understanding with people who are even a lower. Because remember, I'm just becoming balanced just to get to the lower. I'm not becoming balanced to get to balance. I'm getting balanced so I can get to lower. If I'm in the higher, then the understanding with people in the lower vibration and then trying to understand me, it's going to be very difficult. There's going to be a lot of inharmony.
Yes.
I can't really be of value. I can't give the most value at that point.
This is so essential. This is a conversation. This is why I had a hard time identifying with the conscious community, or just most communities in general. I always kind of been a lone wolf because I feel like they kind of get polarized.
Yeah.
And I just like to be in balance, to be a bridge, to be able to be in both spaces. Peru.
Yes.
That's what those really represent. Can you be in heaven and on earth at the same time?
Yes.
Can you be a light in hell? Like Jesus, when he passed or when he crossed over and he went into hell and then brought his light into that space to bring them, into the kingdom as well. In that sense,
yes,
I see it similar for us as well. It's like, and you said like it's not so much lowering the consciousness; it's more so integrating it. And then the physical body has to become lighter to hold the consciousness. Okay. In a way, you know what I mean? Yes. So as our physical becomes, more attuned, more sharp, as we release more things that aren't serving us, then the spirit has more access to dwell within us and be us, and we become the I is now a higher self version of I am, and then the I am can now go into the hood. It can go into the CEO business room. It can go into a war zone. Because then also what happens is you start attracting to you other people who are also in that I am, who also understand, who are also melanated beings, who are also spiritual beings as well. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. This is we're doing some major math right now about mathematics. Brother, what is we're gonna bring it to a close, right? I want to ask you, what is your life mapping services? Oh, thank you for asking. Yes. It definitely ties into going to our role. Yes. Actually, I wanted to tie into that. What is your role? The life mapping service, how does it serve your role within the spiritual revolution? Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. I never even thought about it that way. Yeah. Because I'm doing so many things outside of life mapping that I forget that role is very significant. Yes, it's a facet of that. It's definitely very valid. So I brought it out because I felt like the zodiac, which is very popular now, astrology and so forth, is one perspective of who we are in this physical space. Yes. I think these are great tools to map us. Everything is everything. Exactly. And so, there's 12 archetypes in the zodiac, maybe 13 if you want to go that branch as well. 13 astrology, yes. For sure, right? And that's where it gets a little confusing. But nonetheless, I feel like the more that we have access to the various archetypes that we embody and that we have access to and that show up to us, the more that we have the deeper understanding we have of life itself. And so as I learn these archetypes, the Taurus, the number 9, or the manifesting human design. So it's you started learning a combination of numerology and astrology that you've seen was. Well, I created my own combination between zodiac, astrology, George numerology or vague numerology, human design, and gene keys. So it's 4 different systems. Gene keys? Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm gonna show you later. Yes. Gene keys is an excellent system, very poetic, but it goes upon the 64 genes that everyone holds. And there are certain genes in different positions that have very unique purposes. Like you have one gene that goes into your radiance, what keeps you light and vibrant. Another gene that goes into your evolution, what are you going to learn? Where's your challenge? Yes. Another gene that's your internal purpose, your external purpose, your attraction field. All these genes fit in very unique spaces. So your DNA, you're going into the DNA genome. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so those 4 systems combined is what life mapping is. And I did that because I feel like if we only just use zodiac, that's good. I think zodiac is good for karmic and dharmic perspective. It's good for personalities and characters. Can you break down what karmic and dharmic is? Yeah. So karma is like, how do I put this in the most clear way? So karma is basically what we're here to resolve, to unwind, to learn, to grow through, grow with. Lessons. The spiritual lessons. Okay. Exactly. And the dharma is what you're here to fulfill. What is your role? What is your positioning in the grand design? So your karma is your dharma. So your karma... Because I do see the interconnected nature of those. Yes. Because what you learn prepares you for what you're here to do. So yes. And that's the beauty of it. And so Zodiac is really good for that. And it's good for the characters, that the different, they have these different... The Libra, what does Libra represent? What does Pluto represent? So I think it's good for that. But then I'm like, there's other parts though. Because I read human design. I'm like, this is completely different than Zodiac, but it's equally as resonant. Yes. So why is no one talking about this system? So I wanted to bring that into it. So you brought all 4 systems together, and that is what life mapping became. Yeah. It's a mirror to self. What are the first questions you ask when you begin that service? What is something that what information that you do require? It depends on the individual. Okay. I always ask them first, like, what is it that you are seeking at this time? What do you feel like you need, or why are you requiring for the service? They got to get that perspective, and if they say things that are very more vague, I might go deeper, like what in specific so I just kind of get an idea of where they're coming from.
Yes.
Because then I can look into each system and see the pieces that resonate with what they're looking for.
Yes.
But then the map itself, the map itself is already templated to where it's like there are specific things that I feel are you must know this.
Yes.
So I always put that up front. And then if there's specifics that they ask for, then I will go into my own intuition and my own looking deeper to pull it out for them.
And I love how it's almost you going into, you have to delve into your own I am. Like you have to delve into your own vibration. So it's amazing how so many layers, how you have to go back into that spiritual, even though you are a black man, you're going back into that spiritualistic part of yourself so that you can fulfill your role within the revolution. It's like I am basically, do you see life mapping as you discerning their role within the spiritual revolution?
It's getting to that.
It's
constantly evolving, and as I'm getting, because at this point, I had to embody higher intelligence to bring more to them. Because it's really discernment, like discerning the symbols, discerning the code, discerning what I'm reading, and so the more discernment I get through higher intelligence, the more I'm seeing the specific roles and the specific placements.
Yes.
And so, like literally 2 weeks ago, I had that download coming through. Because I always do it myself first.
Yes.
I'm my own test subject. So I'm always looking at myself deeper and deeper with these different tools to see, okay, now I see exactly what this means for me.
Yes.
And then my partner, I see it in her now. Okay, now I can see this. So I always test the people I know.
Yes.
Make sure that it's actually true. I don't want to get false anything.
Of course.
But now I'm seeing, I'm seeing the webs and the connections between the systems, and I'm mapping that now. It's not done yet.
Yes.
But seeing like, okay, as a
man, but it's always going to be a continual process because it's so complex.
Exactly. I'm like, as a manifesting human design with the moon in this and a 9 life path and this, this represents this embodiment of self in the physical space. And so that's coming together. It's fun.
It sounds fun. It does sound like an equation like coming together, and then everybody has so many different experiences and facets of themselves. That's almost you are creating. I think that's what you're great at. You're great at creating systems. Yeah, there's that engineer mind within you definitely shows itself. Does it show itself also in the strategies that you have,
definitely.
Like your business strategies as well?
Definitely, but more so strategies for other people. I find myself being it's effortless for me to help other people with business, but it's hard for me because it's so close. But like if I see, I can see any business on. If that was changed, it'd be better. But that would work if that was adjusted this much. And that was that way, it would be much better. And so like that's actually my other projects that I'm involved in right now. My brother Halo in Costa Rica. Yeah. I.ligned. That's gonna be I'm gonna keep you on.
Yes, please keep us all posted.
Yeah.
Brother, I enjoyed this conversation with you. I enjoyed how many layers that we get into and so many more layers that we delve into. Multidimensionality. I want you to please come back again so we can continue this dialogue, so we can continue this interview. Please, everyone, follow him on IG at AnubSage, ANUBESAGE, on YouTube at The Sovereign Sage, so you can hear more of this wisdom, so you can hear more of this dialogue. We'll have more of these conversations, delving into purpose, delving into multidimensionality, delving into the masculine and feminine, delving into ego, delving into spiritual evolution, delving into your role on the spiritual plane, delving into your role as being a melanated being or being just a being on this 3-dimensional plane within itself. I enjoyed this conversation, bro. Thank you for coming to this space and giving your wisdom and giving your time, bro.
Charged up, man.
Damn, man. Oh, it's like, yo.
Charged up.
Oh, bless. This is Reverend Ra, and this is DeAndre Sage.
Mac.